This is World Awakenings, the fast track to enlightenment with your host, Carl Gruber. World Awakenings is a podcast dedicated to opening your mind, your heart, and your eyes to the fact that the world's population is now, more than ever, awakening to all things spiritual, metaphysical, and enlightening, and just how they play an all-important role in our daily life. So join Carl on this enlightening experience as he interviews metaphysical and spiritual experts to discuss, debate, and delve deeply into the hows and whys of this worldwide awakening.
You've seen and read my 3 Pillars ebook, and now I'm proud to announce my new book, True Spirituality and the Law of Attraction, a beautiful symbiotic relationship, and it's now out and ready for reading. This new book of mine is a full-length version of the teachings of the 3 Pillars, and in it I show you how to walk in the integrity of eternal and universal laws, in step with the law of attraction to consistently create the life you desire. Now, if you've ever wondered just why you can't consistently manifest all the good, loving, abundant, healthy, and happy things you desire, my new book, True Spirituality and the Law of Attraction, will reveal the key in how to do just that. Plus, help you build a rock-solid personal foundation that will stand strong for the ages. Get your copy today. My new book, True Spirituality and the Law of Attraction, a beautiful symbiotic relationship by Carl Gruber. Available now in ebook and paperback on Amazon.com. Hey, this is it. You found the right podcast. This is the show World Awakenings, the fast track to enlightenment, the podcast that asks the experts, teachers, ascended masters, authors, and healing practitioners of the universe the key question: why now, more than ever, are the people of the world awakening to all things spiritual, metaphysical, and enlightening? Every guest we have on the show will raise your vibrational energy level and help you to move to a higher plane of consciousness to connect with Source and your higher self. And we continue this focus with 2 incredible women on today's show. First, however, please take a moment to click that subscribe button below so you never ever miss a single episode. And also make sure to click the link below to get a copy of my brand new book, True Spirituality and the Law of Attraction, a beautiful symbiotic relationship, a book that will help you to build a rock-solid personal foundation to help you to consistently create the life you truly want to live. Well, our guests today feature 2 amazing women of light, love, and truth, and who are dedicated to helping you achieve your maximum potential in accomplishing your life purpose and beyond. Jennifer Matthews and Eleni Yiambilis. Jennifer Matthews is the founder of Superconscious Success, a platform which connects you to the higher dimensions and fulfills the purpose you were put on earth for. She's a spiritual life coach, naturopath, and manifestation practitioner from Perth, Australia. Has 2 cool kids, 18-year-old and 20-year-old, and an amazing supportive husband. And Jen's mission and purpose on this earth is one of connection. That is for sure. Eleni is the co-founder of Kalyteros.Life and brand ambassador with iHeart Academy with our buddy Renee Marcoux. She's a motivational speaker and best-selling author with a true passion for helping people shatter self-limiting beliefs. She is a truth teacher and intuitive with mastery in teaching deliberate creation with the universal laws. And she has personally experienced massive shifts from poverty to prosperity and manifested miracle money. 20 years ago, Eleni found herself completely destitute and living in her Jeep. I had one, I hope it had zip-up doors on it. So that is the moment she decided to begin standing in her power. She applied the law of attraction through her gratitude journal, Within 1 year, she went from broke and homeless to traveling around the country as a health and wellness advisor for a billion-dollar food company. Now, throughout her life, she has reinvented herself several times by learning how to trust her intuition and tap into her own creative ability. And now she does exactly that for her clients via Kalyteros.Life. And now Jennifer and Eleni have teamed up to create a program for you called Higher Mastery Self, or Make That Higher Self Mastery. So, man, oh man, you two are amazing. Welcome.
Oh, thank you so much, Carl. I am so happy to be here with two of my absolutely favorite people. So thanks so much for having us on today.
Oh my gosh, this is great. And Eleni, welcome.
Oh, yeah, I couldn't be more pleased to be here. Anytime Spirit will bring together just powerhouses of light to share perspective, I'm all in, and I can't wait to see what magic unfolds in this interview.
Well, and truth be told, just being a full exposed, the three of us are complicit in being light workers around the world. We work in different programs with each other. We're personal friends, even though we've never met physically, but we've known each other for a long time. And Eleni, this is your third time on my podcast. One as a solo flight, and we did a show with Renee Marcoux, and Jennifer also was a featured guest on one of my previous shows, and now together here you guys are. And let's dive right into it. I really want to hear about your program. It's called Higher Self Mastery. Let's lay it on me.
Okay, so Eleni and I, we came up with the concept of the higher self mastery because of the fact that, one, when we first connected through you, Carl, and through your Spiritual Shift podcast, we were able to connect, and when we connected, we hit it off straight away. We're like soul sisters, and we both have a deep connection with our higher self. We both, my whole purpose here is that of connection. And so that's connecting to our higher self, connecting to source, and helping other people to connect with one another, because I think this is, if we all work together, we can help as many people as we possibly can. But our higher self, once we're connected to it, we can shine that light. And so Eleni and I have created this incredible program that we're so excited about, which is going to be coming out very shortly.
Yeah. And the thing about the high self, people might wonder, why is that even important? Why are you guys raving about your relationship with the high self? Because, when you align with that is that bigger part of you that can see your entire life from that bird's eye perspective and knows the path of least resistance to your health, to your joy, to your abundance, that part of you that knows your soul mission. And when you stand in that authenticity, when you're standing in that power, and life just unfolds in magical serendipitous events. And I want that for my brothers and sisters. I delight in thinking about all of mankind living with that kind of guidance, but you have to know how to undo the negative programming that's been blocking you from receiving the guidance.
Yeah, well, we've all been programmed to focus on our ego. We've all been programmed with our individual belief systems. We've all been programmed with looking at our 3D external experience. And our lives are so busy at the moment that we don't tap into that higher part of us. We don't tap into the messages that come to us. And it's funny because, I know Eleni has the same experiences as me. And I often say to Carl, look, downloads start coming. And I don't know about you two, but I love those downloads. It is so incredible once you are so tapped into that higher self that all you're hearing is inspiration. All you're hearing is truth. And because we've forgotten our truth. We've forgotten our truth because we've been reprogrammed to believe different.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. And it's a focus thing too. And, when you're receiving downloads, it's not just about, the path of your career path. It's answers to everyday things. There really are no problems. there are no struggles and there are no problems. It's a perspective thing. And when we're tuned into our high self, when we're following that guidance and listening to the voice of our heart, our high self, we know exactly what the right decision is. It's those egoic, that ego state of mind of lack, scarcity, loss, fear, worry, that blocks that and causes our high self to have to keep redirecting our route.
Yeah.
I'll get
and then it gets confused.
Yeah, like the high self will always get us to the end result of our joy, but it's how fast do you want to get there? You know, do you want to keep reverting, or do you want the fast track course?
Well, I do have this observation. I mean, even though, you and the three of us immerse ourselves in the world of light, love, and truth, and moving towards the 5D and our higher self, we understand. It's not like our head is in the sand. We understand that most of the world doesn't even know they have a higher self. And so your program that you guys are doing, what are some of the specific things that you might do to awaken one of your clients to the fact they have a higher self, and then move them there?
Yeah. Okay. So I'll just go into a little bit, and then Eleni will go into it a bit as well. One of the first things that we like to do with this is, firstly, we let you know about what your higher self is. We let you begin to understand why that connection is so important. And we have some really fun little skits in there, which you're absolutely going to love, where Eleni and I really connect with our higher selves. We play different parts of the ego and the higher self, and we allow you to understand what the difference is, because sometimes things that people get confused with is, how do I know if it's my ego talking, or how do I know if it's my higher self talking? How do I know if what's being downloaded is truth, or if it's the fears that we're wrapped up in? How can we tell these differences? That's the first thing that we need to do when we're talking about connection with the higher self.
Yeah, I absolutely agree that that's our starting point. And why is that so important? Because understanding that there are two different aspects, and the more you tune into the high self, the less you can soothe and quiet that ego. Now, the next portions of the program, we take you through the formation of your personal ego. Where did those fears come from? My ego is different than your ego. Mm-hmm. I have my own set of things that my mom said to me, belief systems that I formed, traumas I've experienced in my life, and different experiences. So we have different activities that will help you identify the sources of those egoic beliefs, the limiting beliefs, the programming that is not serving you in a positive way. And then we give you tools to flip it and to tune into the high self, to start receiving those divine downloads and the guidance, and start living in ease and flow. Life is supposed to be ease and flow.
Absolutely. And this is what I love so much about the program, because as Eleni and I were creating it, we decided we just, some of us, I was creating some videos and Eleni was creating some, and then we said we've got to create some together, because it's so much fun when the two of us because we just allow our higher self to download through us. So it's just such an absolute ball. But we also have some incredible meditations. And we've got a whole heap of, like Eleni said, a whole heap of exercises and activities that you can do that will help you to align. Because when you align, then you're truly tapped in, and then you're attracting everything to you that is supposed to fulfill this purpose. We don't have scarcity anymore. You don't have that lack. You don't have that fear, because our world is such a fear-based society that it's all about what we don't have. It's all about how we're going to get that next dollar. Why don't we have enough money in the bank? Why don't I have a lover or a partner? Why? And it's all lack. But if we start to tap into our higher self guides us on the path that is going to direct us to our ultimate purpose with the path of least resistance, because we fight against it all the time as to, this is what I should be doing because this is what I've been told to do. We don't tap into that heart and we don't tap into that higher self and source. So I'm super excited, and I think it's going to be amazing.
And I think what really happens by the end of the course, you're tuned into your high self. You're more aligned with your purpose. You understand why you're here, but you feel a sense of trust.
Yeah.
And man, is that it's just as easy. You know, you take that deep breath, that feeling, exhale, that relief. Like you live in that energy. There's just peace and calm and trust. And when we're vibrating, we're vibrational beings. And when we're in that kind of alignment, when we're in that state of calibration, it's just magic. And we're co-creating in the lives of our fellows. We're harmonious. We're acting harmonious with others. They're benefiting. It's just one big energy cycle. Yeah.
And one thing that we also tap into throughout the program is some of the illusions that we're often faced with, because our world around us is an illusion. And you know that, Carl, in our program, Your Spiritual Shift, that we're creating, we talk about the illusions. We talk about perception. We talk about how time is an illusion. We are so focused in the past. You know, you look at different conditions, and they often say depression and anxiety. Depression is a focus on the past. Anxiety is often a focus on the future. So, but really and truly, there's only ever the present. There's no other time but right now. And so throughout our program, we'll actually show you how you can start to tap in to the present moment. Be present in everything that you do. We teach you how you can deal with maybe the emotional scale, how you can alter how you're feeling from one moment to the next, because vibrations are like we are vibrational beings, and without us managing our vibrations and without us really tapping into it on a minute by minute basis, then we can't get up to the vibration. Our higher self sits on this really high vibration. Our higher self's right on the top, in the, you know, on that high flying disc that Eleni and I often talk about. And it's that feeling of freedom. It's that feeling of peace and trust and knowing. And I often say it feels like your heart's about to jump out of your chest, because there is so much love in there. And so when you can tap into your higher self, you're on that high flying disc. Mm-hmm. So we show you how you can move up your vibrations, because every emotion is okay. Every emotion is there as a message. There is nothing to be ashamed of. There is no shame. There is no guilt. None of that is when the higher self looks at us, when the higher self connects with us, all it ever sees is love, because it knows what our highest purpose is. It knows what our true self is. And so, you know, when we feel bad, that's often a result because our higher self's not in alignment. We're not in alignment with what our higher self is believing. So we show you how to do that as well, which is really, really exciting.
I think.
Go ahead, Carl.
I think for beginners who want to tap into their higher self, one of the hard things to do is try to, when you're first beginning, understand, well, who's speaking to me, the ego or my higher self? And you can always tell, because the ego is always aggressive and angry sounding and forceful and say, you got to do this. And
it's fear-based.
Self is almost like a warm, gentle breeze coming over you and whispering gently, you know, and your intuition kicks in, you know, so, you just know this is the path I'm supposed to be in. And that's a good way to get started, to understand how to delineate who's talking to you, the higher self or the ego. The ego is always
absolutely. But what I find with the ego, and this is a really tricky thing, and I do agree, Carl, I agree that the ego is very forceful because it is fear-based. But the ego can also be very tricky and can also be very manipulative. And it's very good at being able to hide, because the fact of the matter is it's trying to say, I'm going to get my way. And one thing that often gets mistaken, and I'm sure you'll agree with me, Eleni, is that people often say we need to squash the ego. Okay, we don't need to squash the ego. The ego is us. We could not exist on this 3D plane if we didn't have an ego. It is our ego that allows us to exist. But what we can do is we can quieten the ego so that our higher self is taking the reins. And our higher self at that point is saying, okay, I appreciate you, I love you, but you know what? Now it's my turn and we're going to do things my way. So
I really think that I'm going to jump in, Jen, because I think that in our program, we have something so powerful, which is, that inner child and shadow integration. Because
that's the exciting part.
You're absolutely right. And as awakened beings, when people start to awaken, you start to get sometimes feel frustrated with the fact that the ego voice is there. But frustration and feeling angry, that's low vibration. Do you want more situations to return to you in your life that are that equivalent, frustrating and anger? No. So I think we really help people shift the perspective to loving that aspect of themselves.
Yeah.
And those ego beliefs, they formed for a reason. The worries and those fears to keep us safe. Maybe things happened in childhood that were destructive. Or case maybe, or loving parents, installed these programs thinking they were keeping us safe by doing it. The world's a scary place, that we heard growing up. But when we can shift that perspective and love on that, I know why you're here. I know why you, and I'm just going to love on you a different way now, and use that energy, invite it in, recalibrate.
Yeah. And I absolutely love working with the shadow, because I think so many of us, we run from it because it's like, I don't want to accept that part of me exists. I don't want to accept that I'm not perfect. I don't want to accept that, that there are these beliefs that are possibly hindering me from being able to progress. But once you, like Eleni said, once you can tap into those shadows and say, look, I love you for being there. I know that you're there to protect me, but it's okay. It's okay. I've got this. And you can work with your higher self and you can go, I've got this. It's okay for you to let go. It's okay and once you do that, you gradually creep out of that shadow. And that's when we start to move towards the light. That's when we start to really connect with our higher self, because we've accepted 100% that we are who we are. That's the truth. And our shadow can then just move away and we can start to bring our higher self back down. So great points. And the shadow is something I absolutely love working on.
In quieting the ego, it's kind of like being on this video. You can hit the mute, button. And the ego. But I would love to see one of your skit videos. Eleni, Jen told me this, that one of you takes the role of the ego, and you guys had a hard time doing that.
Oh my gosh, was that hard? Hey, Eleni. It's because Eleni and I are so high vibration that for us to take the place of the ego was almost traumatizing for us.
Challenging, right? Like it felt uncomfortable. I'm like, I hate this voice.
It's like, I am so glad that we're in the light. I'm so glad, because
I could see Eleni trying to be the ego and go, listen, yo, biatch.
We should do that one, the skits. That would be so much fun. But it is important that it's not what I would say is difficult to do, but it is something that you have to become in alignment with, and it takes practice, and you do have to quieten down. And how many people are so busy in their lives that they don't take time to sit down and just be mindful, just to be quiet and just to start to listen. I know when I'm one of the best places that I get downloads is when I'm driving the car, because I'll be driving along and I'll be listening to some music, and all of a sudden I get this tap on my shoulder from my higher self saying, turn the radio off. Okay, I've got to listen to my higher self. So I turn the radio off, and then all the downloads start flooding in. And then I turn around and I go, oh my gosh, not now. I've got no pad. I've got nowhere to write any of these ideas down. But when you actually become mindful and you're actually in that moment, or even just doing the dishes, Now, I've actually begun to love doing the dishes because if you actually become mindful and you stay in that present moment and you're feeling the dishes and you're just present and you're feeling the shape of the dishes and you're feeling drying the dishes and something as mundane a task as the dishes, you start being present and you start watching your higher self start to connect.
Yeah, for me, so, working out. When I'm working
out, absolutely.
I'm honoring my vessel. I'm in that moment. I'm not thinking about anything other than being in that moment. I've learned
this is
my journey here where I train because they'll come through.
Yeah. And these are all things that we're going to take you through in the program. We are super excited about it, as you can probably tell. And so it's really important for us to tap into that higher self and to be able to live our best life, because our life is supposed to be fun. We're supposed to be, we're here experiencing life for Source. He's experiencing life through us. We are a vessel that is here for him to experience things. Now, I don't know about you, but, and also for our soul that's been put here to evolve. And so we go through within our program as well, we go through about, contrast and how powerful contrast is and why contrast is so important, because we have learning lessons. We have things we have to learn as we go through life. And so as much as life is supposed to be enjoyable and fun and all of that, there are going to be moments that kind of trip us up. And it's those moments we have to stay in trust.
Yeah.
It's those moments we have to keep our faith and say, you know what? Source has got this. And this is happening for a purpose.
Speaking of higher self and source, I would like to hear both your definitions. What do you define? How would you define higher source? What is, or higher self or source?
Well, higher self is that highest version of ourselves. Okay, so it's kind of like our soul. Some people call it our soul, some people call it the higher self, but it's that higher version of us that knows exactly who we are supposed to be. It knows who our truth is. It's that part of us that is non-egoic. It's that spiritual part of us. So when we mention source, we're talking about God. We're talking about the universe. We're talking about the all that is, the I am of the universe. That's what we're talking about when we're talking about source. So, but because, people kind of have different connotations with the name, you can call it whatever you like. But that's kind of the differences between them. Go, Eleni.
So for me, I look at the high self, and we all have high selves, and it's easy to connect to the high selves of your brothers and sisters.
Yeah.
All in one big collective pool. Why?
Yep.
Because Source, the ultimate creator, is one big pool of love. Source is everything. Everything. This recording device, everything is Source's intelligence is a particle. It's an energetic particle. It's all part of Source. So if you believe in however you want to address your high power universe, that God is love and good energy, then you can be confident and trusting in the knowing that you are immersed. You're literally floating in a pool of pure positive energy at all times.
And that's when we can trust.
Yeah. And that's kind of, I think, one of that piece is the big gift that you can take from building that relationship and that foundation with your high self, that bigger part of you that is also, because it's higher dimensional, pure positive love, unconditional love. Your high self's always loving on you, whether you deem something a right or a wrong decision in your human form. Your high self still loves. Oh, look at her go. She just ran a red light. We love her anyway.
That's it. No matter what you do, your higher self will always love you, because it's only ever love.
Because they are incapable of feeling anything else.
Yeah.
Vibrations do not exist on that plane. They just don't.
I do have a personal observation as far as raising my awareness of connection to source, all that is my higher self. And I've noticed this over the last few years. As I get closer to the light, as I get closer to the truth, the ego can get vicious. It really can. I've actually just realized there are sometimes I hear the ego literally swearing a blue streak like a sailor at me when I've been getting, I go, wait, where'd that come from? And I go, oh, I know what's going on.
Yeah, because the ego will push against it.
Yeah.
The closer you get to the light, the ego will push.
Well,
because it's like, a
lot of people, as they blossom into the light, don't expect it to be an easy ride at first. I mean, that contrast flares up as we know the ego grows stronger through the trauma and the drama.
Well, the whole of last year was a dark night of the soul for me. And so I think that it's really the opportunity as you do that, because when you're going through the dark night, I don't know, if any of the listeners have gone through it, I'm sure plenty of them have. It's a real awakening experience where you're working with your shadow side, where you're dealing with that ego side, and so even though it's difficult, it's a real awakening experience. It's a real opportunity to connect. I came out of it last year and came into this year, and I was just like, the light was just and so we do have to go through challenging experiences. We do have to go through hard pain sometimes to be able to get to that place. But once you're there, and once you're connected, and once you are in the light, then there's no place like it. And this is what we're intending with our program.
Yeah, I mean, it's what once you do experience that, you're quick to notice the ego mind props up. You're quick because you're just so used to feeling good. You're used to feeling trust that when those old things emerge, they're identified easily. I mean, I know when mine crop up. I've recently I've gone through something where an old belief system kind of reared up a little bit, but I knew what it came from. I knew what it stemmed from, and I knew how to handle it. So you're really getting skills to not only form a relationship with your higher self, but navigate
it
the rest of your life. This is your best friend. That people talk about self-love. That is the most important love. So forming this relationship with the greater part of you that is the love is loving yourself fully, completely, wholly. Follow that guidance that only wants your happiness, that only knows the best way for you to get there. That's self-love.
Yeah.
Completely, wholly.
And one of my absolute favorite ways of doing this, because I like a lot of people, self-love is a journey. It's if you've been in a relationship that maybe has they've told you you're not good enough, or especially if you're dealing with energy vampires or anything like that, then self-love's a journey. Self-love's about saying, I am good enough, I'm worthy, and my higher self loves me. Mirror work seriously was a life changer for me, and I absolutely love it. And every morning it's in front of that mirror and it's talking to yourself, because I find that when you talk into the mirror and you look into your own eyes, you're talking to your higher self. And I can feel so connected at that point. And that's when you go into the mirror and you go, I love you. You are amazing. You're incredible. Today we are going to have the most amazing day. And you tell yourself that story. You tell yourself that positive experience that you want to experience. And who cares if people think you're crazy? Because the fact of the matter is, when you come out of that, you are on that high flying disc, because you have already instilled what your day is going to be like. You've told yourself how much you love yourself. And that is a really important thing to do, because our higher self only ever loves us. And we are perfect exactly the way we are. Source created us, and he don't make mistakes. He don't make mistakes, or she don't make mistakes, or Source doesn't make mistakes, because it's all love. And
there's only one energy, then we are that.
Yeah,
right?
And there's no judgment.
All and God is everything, Source is everything. Well, then that's what we are.
Yeah,
God,
exactly.
and source can't make a mistake. We can't make a mistake. And when you start to shift your perspective into those kinds of things, you look yourself in the eyes and you say, you're doing a great job. Yep. Like you're saying, Jen, it's all that trust. Again, it's that trust. It's that understanding of what you really are, what you really are. You're so much more than this physical vessel, this physical. This is God playing. This is God playing. You're like a paper doll he made to come down here and experience these human things, to learn some lessons and to help your brothers and sisters. But you're still him. You're still source. You're still that one energy, pure positive love. How could you be anything other than perfect?
Wow.
Absolutely.
This is just amazing. Just to remind people, we were talking to two soul sisters. We've got Jennifer Matthews in Australia and Eleni Yiambilis in New Jersey in the U.S. And so awesome to have you. You know, you guys, again, I mentioned this, we're all friends. You've been on the show before, but I would like to dive one more time into your personal stories. I would like to start with Eleni, because you had a pretty crazy transformation from when you were younger to where you're at now. If you can give us a little hint on what happened.
A little overview. So, I've learned to come to peace with a lot of the things that have happened in my life. So I can tell this story now without a lot of emotional connection to it. But I grew up in a home that had a lot of alcoholism, abuse, and many different forms. So just a very what to a child would feel unsafe. It was a very unsafe environment, and quickly led me to a path of just wanting to be out on my own. So I was quick in making decisions that weren't always the healthiest. I found myself as a recovering addict, living in my Jeep, surviving a pretty traumatic marriage, a very violent marriage. I got married young quickly, and I decided to leave and get sober in my car. So I had nothing. I literally went from I was eating sardines every day with my cat. My cat was there. They wouldn't leave her behind. And I remember that my mom had this book called The Secret, and I just remember the thing in there about gratitude journaling. And I'm like, you know what? I can do this. I'm going to change my life. And I started every day just looking for things to be grateful for. And you'd be amazed at how many things you can find.
Yep.
I was grateful for them. I was grateful for that cat. I was grateful for the car. I was grateful for the park because I could work out. I was grateful that I could still access, things for personal care, places to go for that. And so I found myself just really feeling love, like in the strangest dynamic, in the strangest environment. I was feeling fully, wholly loved. Within a year's time, just opportunities presented themselves to me that I had no formal background or training in the area of work I ended up going into. But within a year's time, under 2 years, I would say, all in, I ended up jet setting around the country, having this amazing speaking career, just because I was really passionate about fitness and nutrition. I felt like it's life. And over the course of that's going back 20 years, and so much has happened since then. I mean, you step into the phases of awakening. I've witnessed miracles. I've witnessed miracles. I've experienced miracles. Miracles are normal. And it is my mission to help people to expect miracles in their lives. I've miraculous recoveries from diseases in weeks. I've witnessed traumatic brain injuries reversed. I've been divinely led to all the key components of the right people to be a facilitator or a coach through those processes. I've seen tens of thousands of dollars magically manifest in my life and the people that I've worked with. Just by tapping into the fact that all we are is pure positive energy. Everything around us is pure positive energy. Let's just open the floodgates and let it in. But it's been a spectacular journey. I mean, there's so much that's happened. Divine circumstances fell into place where I could participate in a book that the opportunity had closed on. and I became an international best-selling author, which led me to becoming an international speaker. Just all the serendipitous events. And these are the things that happen when you are tapped into your high self. And now I watch in awe and magic at the unfolding. I've got amazing programs working with Jen. I've got a book launching out with my daughter.
So excited.
Yeah. A book of affirmations. And that's just the source gave me the mother of all downloads with that one. Working with my friend Renee Marcoux with iHeart Academy and expanding on how to help the children. I'm feeling called to the children, because of what I went through. If I would have known that my thoughts were creating that, if I would have understood a little bit about vibration and that it was coming back to me, but I didn't feel whole, worthy, and complete in the circumstances I was in. How can I empower children now? How can we all do that? What skills can we share with them to help them feel that, so that they don't end up like the thousands of people I've spoken in front of and taken my programs in failed relationships, poor health, depressed, wondering how to fix their life. I've tried everything. I've tried therapy, Eleni. I've tried this, that, but it's about that worthiness and connection to the high self, right?
Yeah. And I think as you tell your story, Eleni, it's what we need to remember too is that where we are now, we wouldn't have been ready for like 10, 20 years ago, because we still had so much that we needed to learn and so many experiences we need to go through. Even myself, as when I was a teenager, I went through high school and primary school being badly bullied, to the point that I was in the counselor's office pretty much almost every day crying my eyes out. I then moved on into what I would classify as codependent narcissistic relationships as a teenager, with somebody that was verbally and emotionally abusive to me. And then I found that I was attracting a lot of the narcissists. Thankfully, I've got the most amazing husband now, and I'm so blessed because I woke up and realized. But I do, we come across these energy vampires all the time that we have to, manage our energy around. So I grew up with all of that. I went on to become a naturopath after living in Germany for 2 years, because I thought, what was I more passionate about than health? I loved health. It was all about how can we heal? I was still on the 3D plane at that time. It was all about how do we heal our vessel? How do we heal our body? How do we be the best versions of ourselves in our own bodies? And so I did that for a long while until, my kids were in aftercare. They hated being in aftercare. And I just about burnt the house down, by the way, because I was so adrenally exhausted, so overworked. I ended up giving myself autoimmune thyroid disease, Hashimoto's, which the doctor told me I was going to be on thyroxine the rest of my life. So I started taking off thyroxine. We trust the doctors. We know what they know all. At that point, I didn't know that we could heal ourselves. So that was kind of, I knew that I could do it with natural therapies. But so he put me on thyroxine. I was driving down the street and I blacked out at the car with the 2 kids in the back seat. And thankfully, I think my subconscious must have kind of come into play. I knew exactly where I was going. I woke up and so I took myself off it and I said, never again am I going to do that. And I completely reversed my Hashimoto's. So that was all great. I decided, okay, kids not happy. I'll start a business online, started interviewing people online on topics of health and wellness, my passion, until I went to bed one night. So excited. I'd written 8 books in the health field. I had written a couple of courses and I was interviewing amazing people, but I woke up one morning and totally demotivated, had no motivation whatsoever to be doing what I'm doing. And I realized that my passion was in mindset. I was so passionate about optimism and the subconscious mind and goal setting and all of that. So then I started another podcast because as I've said before, my purpose is on connection. So I love talking to people. And I know I'm a bit shy on this podcast. So, you may not get that. But anyway, so I started that, and Source had another idea for me. I'd been going through my awakening process, and I woke up one morning, and once again, I'd lost all motivation for what I was doing. And I pivoted to the spirituality space. I realized at that point through my awakening that it was about being able to connect with Source, to connect with that higher part of me. I became intensely interested in manifestation, the secret. I started manifesting incredible things into my life, incredible relationships. This high flying disc, which has just allowed me to live a life of flow and ease. I've still been going through my own challenges, but we all do. And that's something that's part of our growth experience. And so then I created the Superconscious Success Summit, which Carl was on. That's when we first met. And we've been great friends ever since. We've got our own program that we're doing as well. And my purpose with Superconscious Success is to build a community of us incredible healers and light workers and star seeds and all of us that are out there that are wanting to raise the consciousness of our planet. And so I bring together all these incredible collaborators, incredible family members that are able to create their own content through my Superconscious Success Academy, the Universal Consciousness Workshop site, and also through my connection with them and the different programs that we create, like the one that I'm doing with Eleni and like the one I'm doing with Carl and some others that are out there. I love what I do. I'm so excited, and I've found my purpose and I've found my passion, and I love talking to people every single day. It's awesome.
You know what I love about your story, Jen? I love that it was all about following what felt right to your heart at that time. That's what I heard. I heard I was really passionate. 3D reality, whatever, but working on this. But that's where your passion was. You followed that. And then that led you to the next awakening. And the ability to be able to discern, to realize when you're just not feeling something anymore. A lot of people still living in the 3D plane are very scared to make those shifts for fear of scarcity beliefs, loss, scarcity, that kind of thing. But I heard in your story, just deep connections, even though you may not have been fully through your awakening process, but that intuition was already working through. You were already listening to the voice of your soul, which was telling you it's time to switch. So you switched.
Absolutely. And I think I'm just going to switch again.
I do it too. I'm now working, with children. I'm like,
And do you know what the funny thing is? I wrote 8 books in that field. I had some incredible contacts in the health field, and I gave it up overnight to the point that I just went, you know what? I'm sure my husband thought I was crazy, but I went, you know what? I'm not feeling this anymore, and I've got to go with my heart. And I believe our life is supposed to be enjoyable. I believe that we are supposed to do something we're passionate about. I believe that, every step that we take is a growth experience. And so, yes, I believe in pivoting, and I believe you don't have to stay in the same thing your entire life. Carl was a disc jockey, and now he's doing podcasting. He's a law of attraction practitioner. He's doing some really incredible stuff and interviewing some incredible people. And and through my experience, and this is what I was saying before, Eleni, is we wouldn't have been ready 10 or 20 years ago to be doing what we're doing, because we had to learn from our life stories. And through me being with narcissists, and through me being with being bullied and being around a lot of energy vampires as I've grown up, which is all part of my growth experience. It's and I'm so grateful for it. I really am grateful, because it has allowed me to get to the place that now I am confident in myself, and I love myself, and I know my value. I know my worth. And so I don't think I would have been there back then. But now I've got one of the collaborations is a self-empowered empath, which is where we help those empaths, because we're empaths and it's a struggle sometimes, where we help the empaths to be able to deal with those energies around them. because once you do that, it's so easy to tap into that self-love and to know that, you know, no matter what anybody says about you or says to you, it doesn't matter. I've always said to my kids, what other people think of you is none of your business, because it really isn't. And that's one of my favorite sayings. So absolutely, Eleni, I totally concur. And we are just like soul sisters that we're so blessed to have met each other and to be creating this. You too, Carl.
I agree. And there are no mistakes. And you know, we all have a very similar mission, and that's why we've been connected. And Jen and I are actually going to be putting out a workshop, you know. So if this is speaking to you, you're like, yeah, I want some of this high self energy. I want to jump in before the program even launches out. We're going to start creating some awareness. I know, Jen, you might have more detail about that.
Yeah, we're actually going to, we haven't set a specific date yet because we've got to, but it's going to be sometime in September. We're going to be actually doing a workshop. And it's actually going to be on self-love and connecting with your higher self. It's a free workshop. It's definitely one that that if you want to get started on this process of connection, on this process of figuring out how you can start to really feel that love and that self-love that's going to help you to get connected, this workshop is for you. You can head across to universalconsciousnessworkshops.com. I'm still building the site. It's on my agenda for the next week, but there, if you go to universalconsciousnessworkshops.com, and there will be a link there that will take you straight to the workshop page. So do that and definitely join us for that, because it's going to get you started on that process. And, you know, you'll leave that workshop with some knowledge and some insight. And we might even chuck a little meditation in there for you that's going to help you as well. So definitely join us for that. We're super excited.
And, you know, your two life stories are just absolutely amazing. And I want to buy the movie rights to your life.
Hey, that's an idea, Eleni. What does our higher self say?
Nobody will believe it. People say that truth is stranger than fiction. Oh, no, that can't be real. But it is. It is. Yeah. So we're going to wind up here in a little bit. This has just been amazing. I think people can see from watching or listening that there's a lot of true passion here. Two ladies of true light, love, and truth, and really, really appreciate it. Just really quickly before we wind up, Eleni, can you tell us about a little bit about your Kalyteros.Life, how people can connect with you?
Absolutely. So Kalyteros.Life, that's the website. It is a platform of different programs. There's a Universal Laws Master course on there. There's a self-love course on there, prosperity beliefs. There's shattering self-limiting beliefs, our builder blocks course. But I'm constantly creating new content. There's a wealth of videos and just different blog posts. But once you're an Academy member, you have access to all the courses to go through them in your own time. So like the Universal Law Master Course, which I really feel once you understand the universal laws, you become a powerful creator of your life. But it's 6 weeks, 6 weeks of downloads, 42 downloads, 42 videos to help you really understand all of the different laws and how they work together. But it's a great platform that you can study and go as along with your awakening, whatever you're working on at that time. There's some shadow work on there as well as inner child healing as well. Yeah.
Well, that is so awesome. I actually was on your that website. Kalyteros is spelled Kalyteros. But you have an interesting blog called
Unclogged.
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 What is that?
It's Unclogged, my blog, Unclogged with a K. Yeah.
Yeah, and the topic was anxiety is misplaced enthusiasm. So I
love it.
Really, really interesting. But ladies, thank you so much for being on World Awakenings. You guys, you know, we're on different parts of the world. Jen grew up in an Aboriginal community in Western Australia.
Yeah, that's part of my background too. But yes, I'm going to write a book one day. I'm going to write a book one day.
And Eleni is a Jersey girl in the U.S. Yeah. Don't mess with her. She fights Muay Thai. All right, you guys. And I'm in exciting Ohio. Sometimes I hang out in the cosmos here. And thank you, everybody. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Jen. Thank you, Eleni, my beautiful friends.
Divine
Thank
light.
you so much.
You.
Mwah.
Bye.
This has been another episode of World Awakenings, the fast track to enlightenment with host Carl Gruber, a certified law of attraction life coach. We welcome you to tune in to each and every episode of World Awakenings as we open your mind, your heart, and your eyes to the fact that the world's population is now, more than ever, awakening to the truth of all things spiritual, metaphysical, and enlightening, and just how much they play an all-important role in our moment-to-moment daily life. Much love and light to you, my friend, and thank you for tuning into World Awakenings.